Hello everyone, this is lecture 2 in the business valuation multiples model. Now, you remember in lecture 1 we try to value a company and we try to value company B by using some of the information from company A, and we use the price earnings ratio. This is all well and good, but can we be more accurate is the question, because if you're trying to convince someone to buy company B, and you told him or her that you only use one ratio to get the value for company B, maybe that buyer would not be that convinced. So how can we be more accurate? And the answer is, well, rather than using one ratio, we can use three ratios. We can use the price to sales ratio, which is calculated as the market price per share divided by the sales or turnover. We can use the price earnings ratio, which we have done in lecture 1. So market price per share divided by earnings per share, EPS. Or we could use the price to book ratio, which is the market price per share divided by the book value of share. And that value would be there in your balance sheet or statement of financial position. Not only that, in my example from lecture 1, to value company B, we use company A. Well, what if we can also use another company, let's say company C, which is also in the same industry? Wouldn't that be more accurate? And then we use some form of average figures. Let's try to see how this works. So we have an example here. We have Hewlett-Packard and then Lenovo Group. These are the details. We have all the details for Hewlett-Packard. We have sales, earnings, book value, market value. So for now, we are assuming Hewlett-Packard and Lenovo Group, they are both quoted on the stock exchange. And let's say we're trying to value Dell, which is not. And what we'll do is we will use, well, PS is the price to sales, PE price to earnings, and PB price to book ratio. And we'll try to use the same philosophy to try and value Dell. But remember, because we want to be more accurate, we will work with averages. So how does that work? What we have for Dell, let's see what we have for Dell. So we have the sales figure for Dell, 50,002. What else? We also have the earnings figure, 2635. And we also have the book value, 7766. Yes, here are all the figures here from the question. Now, what we don't know is, well, as you see, we don't know these figures here in question mark. So how do we use, first of all, the price to sales ratio? So let's see how this works. We know the price to sales ratio for Hewlett-Packard is 1.06. So 1.06. We also know the one for Lenovo is 0.27. So 0.27. And we divide by 2 to get some form of average. Let's try to reduce the decimal places, so 0.67. And what we'll do to get Dell's valuation, or at least using the price to sales ratio, we'll say, all right, we'll take this figure, 0.67, multiply by this figure here, by Dell's sales figure. And we get some sort of valuation. Now remember, the deal is we want to be as accurate as possible. So this is not the deal. We're not done here. So we're going to use price to earnings ratio. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. We know the price to earnings for Hewlett-Packard is 10.3. For Lenovo is 23.7. And then we divide by 2. And that gives us 17. And I'm going to take this figure and multiply by this figure here. Okay, again, you see we get some sort of valuation, and that's fine. That's not a problem. And let's use the book value. Now we know the book value again for Hewlett-Packard, that's 2.2. For Lenovo, 3.3 divided by 2. So 2.75. I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to take this figure, 2.75, multiply by, well, this figure here, and that gives me some form of valuation. Now, what's the deal here? Remember, we want to be as accurate as possible. We can't say Dell's is valued at $33,251 or 44,795 or 21,357. So what we do is this. Let's let's try to get some form of average. So let's sum them up first of all. So let's sum these valuations. So these three valuations here. And to get a true or a more accurate, true is not the correct word, a more accurate valuation is we'll take this figure and divide it by 3. Yeah, so a more accurate figure for valuing Dell. So Dell business value, a more accurate figure would be $33,134. So this figure here.